Hello and welcome. I am Sable of Sable Audio, and today is my obligatory spooky video. I was going to just read a spooky short story, but I managed to finish a project that I have been working on for a little while now that happened to be spooky. This project is called The Death House. I should probably explain what's going on. So, you may or may not be aware that one of my first videos was me messing around with this Hunger Games simulator. I found it fun for a time, but I came away from it rather annoyed at the fact that the characters didn't act in character. There were plenty of times where they just didn't really do what they should have. Ludwig, what the fuck? Ludwig convinces Whitetaker to snuggle with him. Ludwig, what the fuck? So, I decided to make my own simulation, and this is what it looked like. Yep, this is my original idea, called Marvelous Carnage, and it was supposed to simulate, the characters' characteristics and, a bunch of traits and stuff. When you play D&D like I do, this all seems very important to you. So that's why I made Marvelous Carnage. The thing was, I didn't know any code at the time that could help me make it. So I just wrote a bunch of rules down and used marbles and a one-color board as a random number generator. This wasn't very fun. The characters still didn't act all that in character, and it took way longer than it needed to actually work. So I left the project for a little while. Eventually, I learned enough code that I felt comfortable coming back to it, and started vigorously trying to make Marvelous Carnage. However, I ran into so many roadblocks, I almost gave up. Then I realized something. Maybe that Hunger Games simulator I had been saying wasn't all that good was actually a lot more complicated than it let on. And that's where the Death House comes in. The Death House is my attempt to recreate something similar to that Hunger Games simulator. So I think it's about time that I show you how it works. So this is the code for the Death House. Right now it doesn't look all that bad. Just wait. It's going to end up being very confusing quite quickly. So this right here is what I call storage. And you're going to notice a lot of these grayed out text bits. It's just comments so that I can remember what each part does. You have the initial print statements that tell you what is going to be going on here. And then all of these variables here are storage, storing the names and whether the person is alive or dead, which is very important. These are more storage. All of these variables change throughout the simulation. So I just put random things in there to say what they were going to be initially so that they can be changed later. More comments and more storage. These are actually rather important. This is the number of contestants. And later you will see that the number of contestants actually has quite a bit of bearing on what's going on. So this function is things that can happen. Very creatively titled, I know. Basically, as the title states, everything that can happen in this simulation is in this one function. Every time the simulation needs to figure out what's going to happen, it will call this function, a random number will be generated, and one of these random number if else statements will be called, and that's what's going to happen. Let me get past all of the things that can happen. Am I past them yet? No, I'm not past them yet. Okay, now I'm past them. Then we have the while loop. This is the thing that says, run the simulation. Then we have the actual meat of what's going on. Well, I guess more of the muscles and brain of what's going on. If the if-else statements up above were the bones of the operation. This while statement will just keep running until the number of contestants is equal to 1. However, I had a really hard time getting it so that it would just stop. There's basically no way in the language I'm using that I know of currently to tell a while statement to just stop in the middle if something specific happens. The while statement has to run all the way through to the end of the while statement. Meaning, if there are 2 contestants alive, one dies first, the other will still have to get through the entirety of the rest of the day to be declared the victor. And speaking of declaring the victor, that's what this bottom part is. All of this right here is just to declare who the victor is. This kind of gives you an idea of just how messy the code is. Basically, all of the code looks like this. So, yeah, I'm not that good of a coder, but I made this thing work. And speaking of making this thing work, let me just cover that up so you don't have to look at it, and run. This is how you get the Death House to run. Just press play, and you get prompted with these things. 5 will enter, 1 may leave. However, they must survive the entire day to be let out of the Death House. Name the sacrifices. Press enter to confirm the name. Name of sacrifice 1. I have a random name generator over here, so let me just put the names in. The first sacrifice is Winifred. The second sacrifice, Zoe. Third sacrifice is Jeb. The fourth sacrifice is Conway. And the fifth is Deezy. And after you hit enter on the last sacrifice's name, it will immediately start running. This is what happened the first day. Winifred read books in the library. Zoe cried in a corner all day. Jeb was killed by eating poisoned food. Conway found the kitchen, and the only thing edible in there was cereal. Probably found Jeb's dead body, too. Deezy found a candy bar on the ground and ate it. They found it quite enjoyable. Day 2. The house is driving Winifred insane. They sing nursery rhymes while running through the halls all day. Zoe hid in a cabinet all day. Conway slammed their finger in a closing door and spent the rest of the day loudly complaining. Deezy barely avoided being cut in half by a falling axe. Winifred was eaten by one of the halls, so there's Winifred down. Zoe hid from the others. Conway read books in the library all day. Deezy had a beer with Bigfoot. Zoe was killed by shadows. Conway was killed by a laughing gargoyle. Deezy found the kitchen. The only thing edible in there was cereal. Deezy was released by the house. Prior to adding in all of the deaths that were possible, the number of days could literally go up into the months, but since then, I don't think I've seen anything over a week. Most of the people end up dying pretty quickly. Let's run it again. And speaking of running again, let's get another set of random names. We have Patton, Jeannie, Wright, Jordan, and Avery. Hit that and see. Goes up to a week. Day 1, Patton read books in the library. What's up with the first people always reading the books in the library first? Jeannie found a candy bar on the ground and ate it. They found it quite enjoyable. Wright was eaten by one of the halls. Jordan wandered through the halls all day, maybe looking for Wright. Avery hid from the others. The house is driving Patton insane. They sing nursery rhymes while running through the halls all day. Jeannie had a beer with Bigfoot. Jordan read books in the library all day. Avery cried in the corner all day. Okay, I swear there are more than 3 things that can happen that don't kill you. I wrote 20 things that can happen that will not kill you, but they all seem to be getting the same ones. The house is driving Patton insane. They tried to walk on just their hands all day. Jeannie barely avoided being cut in half with a falling axe. Patton hunted down and killed Jordan with a steak knife. Apparently while trying to do it while walking on their hands. But okay. Avery was killed by eating poisoned food. Now there are only 2 contestants left, Patton and Jeannie, and Patton seems to be a bit stab-happy. Patton wandered the halls all day. Jeannie found a ball of string and started leaving a trail through the maze-like house. Jeannie put the ball down for a second, and it disappeared. Patton hid from the others. Jeannie argued with a talking dragon statue about philosophy. That's one of my weirder ones, I have to say. I don't know why I wrote that. Patton found a candy bar on the ground and ate it. They found it quite enjoyable. Jeannie found a ball of string and started leaving a trail through the house. Again. Patton wandered through the halls all day. Jeannie was killed by drinking poisoned water. Patton was released from the house. So that's basically how this works. You put in your names. I cannot tell you how many times I've killed A, B, C, and D. But you put in your names, you press enter, it sends you down to the bottom, and holy cow, first day everyone was killed. Except for B. B hid in a cabinet. A small white dog. 8D hole, I forgot I put that one in there. Okay. And B hunted down and killed E with the help of bipedal rats. Yeah, I forgot about that one too. Needless to say, some of this stuff is very weird. But this is basically how it works. This, however, is just the first step to Marvelous Carnage. I wanted to see if I could do this. Turns out, I can. So, now that I know what I'm doing with this simulation thing, maybe I can start making pieces of Marvelous Carnage. And piece by piece, make a much more complex simulation. That is my end goal. If you guys want to mess around with the Death House, the Replit little URL will be in the description, and you will be able to run it and put your own names in and have fun with that. On that note, I hope you have a good day, night, whatever time it is, wherever you are.